The horseman sits at a corner table. He is fast asleep after eating a big meal. A kind teacher sits with her young students. She helps them eat and smiles warmly. The peace is broken when some thugs, also eating at the eatery, start robbing the people of their money. The eatery owner steps forward nervously, trying to calm the men down. One of them kicks him hard and he falls to the floor. The leader looks around the room like a hunter, searching for prey. The thugs soon notice the horseman, still asleep at his table. The horseman slowly opens his eyes, looking irritated. In one swift move, the horseman pushes the leader back, making him stumble. The other thugs charge at him, now filled with anger. The horseman stands up, his movements sharp and precise. Using chairs and tables, he fights back with skill and strength. Every move he makes seems planned, every hit is strong. The thugs, even though there are many of them, can't keep up with him. The eatery is soon a mess, with broken chairs and tables everywhere. From how he fights, you could tell that he is a martial arts expert who has trained for several years. Everyone freezes, shocked by how fast he is. His moves are swift and decisive. He easily and sometimes funnily defeats all the thugs and the children like him, including the teacher and all the other customers who were robbed by the thugs. He is very calm, although fighting. He smacks the butts of some of the thugs, and this sends a wave of laughter through the eatery. Even the teacher smirks a little. The dog also joins the laughing party. When the fight is over, the thugs are left unconscious. The horseman takes back all the monies they stole and gave it back to the shop owner. The teacher and her students watch him in awe, their fear turning into respect. The eatery owner and the teacher thank him, but the horseman waves it off, as if it was no big deal, sits on his horse, and off he goes. Far from the eatery is the small village of Pucheng. Their leader is Sheriff Yang. He is respected by all. He believes in justice and keeps the village safe. The teacher and her children arrive at Pucheng, looking for a safe place to stay. They are running from a dangerous man, the spoiled son of the emperor. This cruel man kills innocent people for fun, and the teacher hopes the village can offer them protection. Not long after, the horseman arrives at Pucheng. He is asleep on his horse as it trots into the village. The villagers watch in surprise as the horse suddenly stops, causing the horseman to fall to the ground. Funny guy. The sheriff and the horseman strike up a good friendship, even barbering him. One quiet evening, the emperor's spoiled son rides into Pucheng, but the villagers don't know him. He looks charming. The people are unaware of the danger that has entered their home. He stops at a small eatery, ordering food with an air of arrogance. The teacher immediately recognizes his face. With no hesitation, he kills the owner and his son in cold blood. The villagers are nowhere near the incident. After the man's sad death, the teacher tries to fight him. In the tussle, the emperor's son points the gun at the eatery owner's son and shots him to death. It was a sad scene. The teacher is completely saddened by the stranger's actions and bravely stands up to him. She demands justice for the lives he has taken. The stranger, unimpressed by the teacher's bravery, laughs cruelly. Through the tussle, the teacher is shot through the mouth, killing her without a second thought. Her lifeless body falls to the ground. The villagers arrive at the scene and catch the emperor's son red-handed. They were very furious, and the sheriff arrested the emperor's son to undergo trial. The horseman realizes the tension in the town, but doesn't know what has happened. He sees the teacher's students crying and begins to wonder what might have happened. At the village square, the angry villagers demand justice. They want the sheriff to instantly prosecute the emperor's son. The horseman now sees the dead corpse of the teacher and the other dead bodies. He is saddened and infuriated at the same time. The sheriff and the villagers meet to decide the punishment for the emperor's son. Immediately, soldiers from the emperor's son's camp enter the village to demand his release. The sheriff does not agree to release him if he is not punished for killing the 3 people. The soldiers threaten to capture and torture him if the emperor's son is not released. Chaos breaks out, and the soldiers start killing the villagers and taking their things forcefully. Amid the ruins of their village, the escaped heroes of Pucheng gather in secret. Sheriff Yang's brave wife, the horseman, and a few trusted villager heroes unite, determined to reclaim their home. They carefully study the movements of the soldiers, watching for weaknesses and planning their next steps. Back in the village of Pucheng, the emperor's son orders the soldiers to torture Sheriff Yang as a warning to anyone who dares resist. Yang is tied upside down to a rope and lowered into a barrel of water. The horseman, hiding nearby with the other heroes, enters the village to distract the soldiers, while the other heroes sneak in to carry out the plan. They quietly enter the soldiers' weapon room and also signal the other village women who were being forced to serve the soldiers with food to poison their wine and water, to allow their plan to work without any issues. The women also get to work immediately, poisoning their drinks and food by telling other women who were also being forced to serve the emperor's army. The soldiers also unsuspectingly take the food and the drinks, and immediately they start getting its effects. They all start getting stomach upsets at once, and they all have to visit the toilet to ease themselves. The plan worked. The horseman reaches where the sheriff is being tortured. He sees the emperor's son enjoying the torture, and surprisingly, he sees his old-time best friend guarding the emperor's son. His old friend tells him secretly not to cause any chaos. The horseman laughs it off, and with the speed of lightning, cuts the sheriff loose. The horseman then tries to kill the emperor's son, but his old-time friend comes to his rescue. A fight ensues between the three. The clash erupted in the heart of the village, where the horseman's blade sought justice, but his old friend stood in his way. Dust swirled around them as the horseman, eyes blazing with purpose, advanced with his sword drawn. His old friend, gripping a spear tightly, blocked his path with desperate resolve. Sparks flew as their weapons collided, the sound ringing out like thunder. The horseman's blows were fierce and unrelenting, his anger fueling every strike, but the spearmen countered with skill born of years of shared battles. They fought like storm and stone, the horseman's strikes wild and furious. After they've poisoned the emperor's soldiers earlier, weakening them without their knowledge, the villagers launch their ambush. Hidden among the shadows of their broken homes and narrow streets, they strike with determination. The villagers surprise the soldiers, catching them off guard. Weak and disoriented from the poison, the soldiers struggle to organize. The villagers fight with everything they have. Despite being in pain after the torture, the sheriff is wide alert. Two soldiers rush forward, but Yang, still fierce despite his injuries, takes them down with calculated strikes, killing the soldiers. He cuts himself loose. The emperor's son tries to kill him, but he is wide alert and awake. He fights him, and the emperor's son runs off. The horseman and his old friend fought fiercely atop fragile earthenware pots, their movements sharp and skilled. Blades flashed, and feet pivoted as their battle intensified, causing the platform of pots to weaken. Cracks echoed as the fragile surface began to collapse. As the pots cracked and collapsed, the horseman's legs got stuck. His old-time friend rescues in from the breaking pots, but unfortunately, the pots crush him to death. The emperor's son aimed his pistol at Sheriff Yang, but as he fired, the sheriff's wife bravely stepped in, taking the bullet to her shoulder. Wounded but undeterred, she urged her husband to continue. The sheriff, quick and agile, dodged most of the emperor's shots, his movements deliberate and precise. Each missed shot drove the emperor's frustration higher. Finally, the sheriff closed the distance, standing face to face with his adversary, sword in hand. In a desperate attempt, the emperor's son fired a final shot, but Yang blocked it with his blade in a stunning display of skill. In one fluid, decisive motion, the sheriff delivered a critical strike, injuring the emperor's son with a special move that left him with a bullet in his head. The sheriff now kicked and pushed him through a window, and he fell to the streets of the village. He starts laughing because he was still alive and didn't die from the sheriff's critical strike. Just then the villagers started attacking him one by one, each injuring him with a weapon, even those who were afraid of him. Soon the entire village joined and lynched him to his death. The village is now peaceful again, and the sheriff thanked the horseman for his help. Calm and peace was now restored at Pucheng, and everyone went back to his usual business. Thank you for joining us on this recap. Your subscription means a lot to us.